Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet here on Metal Messiah Radio. Today we are joined by one of our favorite guests, Mr. David Ingram. Now, Dave, along with Roga Johansson, have a new album from their band Down Among the Dead Men on Transcending Obscurity Records. Welcome back to the show, Dave.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me once again.
So, Dave, first of all, tell us about how you met up with Roga and later on started working with him on all these musical projects.
Right, well, that was back in 2013. And, yeah, it was January, I believe, or January or February, or something like that. And, he contacted me and asked if I would like to take part in this album he was putting together, Mega Scavenger. It was the second Mega Scavenger album, I believe. And I said, yes, I haven't done any singing for album work. I've done a lot of demo work for bands, but no album work for a good many years. And he said, no worries, give it a go. We'll see how it works out. And he actually gave me the taste of getting back into making music. I had been making music, but it was more just for personal stuff with a friend of mine, and with Roger, it sort of pushed me further forward and made me want to do more. And so I did that for him and heard the result when he'd mixed it. And I said, how do you fancy doing a full album together? And 9 months later, Down Among the Dead Men had their debut out. So that's basically how we got together. And if it wasn't for Roger, I don't think I'd be... Well, I probably would be doing some music nowadays, but it would still be on a very low level and probably just more personal. So thanks, Roger.
And okay, so now we know why, you got this band started. You just put it all together with him, started putting out albums in 2013. Now, have you guys played out at some shows?
No, not yet. And the word yet is quite important. What we're going to do is record a fourth album, and we'll start working on that at some point this year, probably towards the very end of this year. And once that's been released, we will then start and look into going out on tour in what year are we now, 2018?
Yes.
I'm terrible with years. Yeah, unless it's written down in front of me, I can never remember. But yes, it's 2018, that's right. Then for 2019, we're going to look for some live shows around Scandinavia and Northern Europe.
So tell us a little bit about the band, how much music you guys have out at this point, how you think it kind of progressed as a band over the 5 years, Dave.
Well, the funny thing is about this band, me and Roger, we've done 3 full-length albums now. The third one isn't out just yet, but it's June the 15th. It drops, and there's also a 2-track 7-inch that we did. So that's quite a lot of music to do together. I mean, that's not including the 2 full-length Echelon albums that he and I have worked on as well, but we'll get to those later, I suppose. But with all these releases that we've done, along with all the one-off tracks we've worked on together, I've never met the guy. And we've done all this across the internet. This is the wonder of the internet. You can get all this done without actually having to be around people. So if you're a real misanthropist, then yeah, you'll love being in a band like this.
When people ask you, what kind of music do Down Among the Dead Men play, what do you tell them?
Well, I would like to say that it's a type of crust punk, hardcore, crossed over with death metal, because of who's in the band. The 2 main protagonists in the band. So we wanted to go for a sound similar to Discharge, but give it a sharp edge like the death metal sound. And there's a little bit of sloppiness here and there, which is perfect, and distorted basses and things like that. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way the band's progressed and evolved, and it has evolved. You can hear the difference between each of the 3 releases, and so far all the reviews I've seen of this third album have been they've really shocked me at how positive they've been.
And we're here today to talk about that new album, And You Will Obey Me. So first of all, I mean, we know you and Roga are on this, but who else is the musical lineup on the album?
Well, on the album, there's a friend of Roga's called, I cannot pronounce his name, Kjetil, Kjetil, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some the solos on there. And there's Eric Beveron. These are Scandinavian names, and I have a difficulty at remembering them. Even though I've lived in Scandinavia for 20 years now, I still have difficulty with names. But Eric plays the drums. So, yeah, that's basically the musical lineup there. Roger did the bass. I think Roger did the bass. We were going to ask Johnny Peterson, who's in Sinner with me, to do the bass, but I believe he was busy at the time, so Roger just knocked it out for us. So, but the other guys, Eric wants to stay as a session musician. He likes playing the drums. He likes recording. He just doesn't want his face plastered everywhere. And it's pretty much the same with Kjetil and his guitar solos. As long as he gets his name on the album and he gets a couple of copies for himself and a T-shirt, he's fine.
They're easy.
Yeah, nice guys.
So how would you describe to people what to expect from this album, Dave?
Well, some of the songs are a little longer, but they're still not over 3 minutes each. I think one is actually just 3 minutes. So that the album comes in at about 30 minutes, 35 minutes maybe. And that would be pushing it. Yeah, there's definitely still a lot of Doctor Who references because I'm completely nuts about that show. Especially the title and the cover artwork. Now, the title, And You Will Obey Me, is a line that was said by the one of the bad guys in the show. His name is the Master, or rather, the Master. And he says that line, I am the Master, and you will obey me. And I thought, well, that would make a great album title. And the artwork is the actor, Roger Delgado, half of his face, and then the other half is the face of the Master as he got older and began to look rather, well, shall we say wet. So, wet and rotting.
Now, when you guys wrote this, I mean, what is it? Like a lot of emailing back and forth and sending tracks all over? Is that how you guys go about doing it?
Well, Roger writes the riffs. Mm-hmm. He writes all the music. And he'll just do it to a click track and say, what do you think of this? And he'll send me a demo version of it. And 9 times out of 10, I will immediately say, yes, that's perfect. I know what I can do with that. Especially at this section, which is at, maybe 45 seconds in, there should be this particular type of drum beat. So if you can tell Eric that when he records. And it works that way. And I don't think we've ever had any major discussions over what things should really be or how they should be, because we trust each other. The only thing the one time I think Kjetil recorded his guitar solos before I did the vocals, and where he put all the solos were exactly the places where I wanted to sing, and the songs didn't sound as good when I was singing in the other places, so I had to tell him to wipe them all so I could do my vocals, and then he could put them on again. But that was the only thing.
Yeah, that's pretty minor.
Yeah.
So you had said that, of course, we all know that you're a Doctor Who fanatic, I guess is a good word. So, but tell us about some of the, lyrical themes throughout the album.
Okay. Well, the first song, Destroy the Infinite. The Infinite was the name of a large battleship. Obviously, this is all science fiction, so it's a space battleship. And there was another group of people who were trying to destroy it. Basically, that's what it's about. Having to try and destroy this large opposing force by using words and not having a strong an army to defend yourself with. So there was that. Let's see. The Age of Steel, well, that was about the Cybermen. There's something that a lot of people very interested in, but you don't see a lot about. It's always the Daleks with Doctor Who, which I love. They're my favourite villains. And obviously I've covered the title track with the Master. And let's do one more. Darkness of Glass. Now about that one, I'm quite pleased. The lyrics on that are about mirrors and how they can steal your life essence. These are sort of sentient mirrors that the song is about. And the music, I said to Roger, can we try and make a song that sounds like early Celtic Frost or Hellhammer type of style? And that's what that song came about. And I said to Roger when he'd written it, that is absolutely fantastic. I even tried to make the lyrical flow as Tom G. Warrior would in those early days. So I was trying my best to emulate his flow, not his sound. I would still sound like me. But, okay, Tom G. Warrior, back when I began singing, Tom G. Warrior was a huge influence. So Tom and also Cam Lee, of course, massive influence on me, Cam was, and still is, and he's a good friend.
Now, we're often our worst critics when it comes to like our art and stuff. So how do you feel about your performance on this album? Because personally, I think it's like some of your best work like to date vocally, Dave. I mean, you sound really, really good, even after all these damn years.
Did you just call me old?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I know what you mean. When I was recording the vocals, it's not a case of new equipment because I've still got all the same old crap that I used for the last 10 years. But I've taken care of myself. I quit smoking. When I know that I'm going to be recording an album, I don't, the day before I don't drink. And I'll tell you now, for people who still smoke, if you're a singer, quit. You will double the capacity of your voice. You will have more range. You will have more stamina and more power and a cleaner sound. But so there was that. And I also, while I'm singing, to soothe my throat, I use chocolate milk. It is the greatest thing ever for soothing a death metal throat. Yeah, and finally, one thing I would say is don't overdo it. I will do maximum 1 hour's singing a day, putting death metal vocals down. When you do more than that, unless you're going to take a break of 2 or 3 hours in between, then that's the best thing to do, is just to take it nice and easy, nice and slow, don't rush things. But because I'm recording at home, I only have a small window frame, a small time to get the vocals recorded before people come home from work, and they're not going to want to hear me roaring around at the apartment. So, I get like an hour's recording session done each day until the album's finished. And if there's something that I don't like, I'll go back and do it again, of course, another day. And then I'll probably do the whole song again, because you can get slightly different frequencies coming in and different intonations with your voice. So it's worth taking your time over this. These albums are going to be around for a long time.
And all those things you do definitely make a difference, because the listener could definitely hear it. I mean, I was like, wow, it sounds really, really great. Even better than some of your earlier stuff, which you were probably smoking and all that other kind of shit back then anyway. So it does make a huge difference, And
it does.
Yep. So what formats is this going to be released on, Dave? I know there's like all kinds of weird shit that the labels are offering, packages and stuff.
Yeah, there's a box set which has a sticker and a fold-out poster and I think a guitar plectrum, which is weird because I don't play guitar. But although saying that, I do have a guitar and a bass guitar, and I am going to be doing some of my own solo music at some point, probably when I've retired. I'll just do it for myself and then put it out if anyone wants to listen to it. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yes. No, there'll be the usual CD version, and there's going to be a vinyl version as well. Finally got the label, persuaded them to do some vinyl for us. And it's all been going really well. I'm a little disappointed that everybody else in the world who's ordered, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people have been ordering the stuff from the label, and they've been getting their copies. I have yet to see a copy of this fucking album. And it was also the same with the last album I did with the label, Sinner, and the previous one to that, Echelon. And it's a little frustrating. I hope Kunal is listening to this.
He probably is, so maybe he'll get that right out to you.
Yeah. Well, there's things going on, and Kunal, we're going to have to sit down and chat about the next lot of albums and renegotiate the deal.
Okay.
But don't worry, Kunal, it'll be in a nice way.
As it always is with you, Dave.
Oh, of course.
So Dave, you mentioned a little bit about Echelon. So tell us a little bit about some of the other stuff you're working on and how that stuff is kind of going now.
Right. Well, let's start with Echelon, since you just mentioned it. I had a conversation with Roger a couple of weeks ago, in fact, and we've decided to not stop Echelon, but to put it on the back burner at the moment, because we want to concentrate on getting Down Among the Dead Men out in the live arena somewhere. So, and we can always come back to Echelon. That was actually always put out as a definite project. There was no thought of us getting that out to play live. So we thought, we'll just put that on the back burner for the time being. Obviously, Down Among the Dead Men, I've already explained, we want to get out live and do a fourth album before that. Now, there's the other project that I'm now a full-time member of, Just Before Dawn. We're actually out playing shows. We've already done 4 shows. These festivals around Europe and a couple in England. And we've got one at the July 20th, I believe, or the 22nd. It's around then, in Germany, a place called Protzen, Protzen. It's the Protzen Festival. And so if you're going, see you there, and let me know via Facebook that you're going. We'll hang out and have a drink, because it's sold out now.
So tell us a little bit about that band then, Dave. We don't know anything about it. What kind of music you guys play? Who's in it? What's going on there?
Right. Well, it's me on vocals. Actually, let me go back a bit. Okay. The band began as a project where it was just going to be one guy and a whole bunch of other guest musicians. It sort of expanded over time. They've done several albums already. And on this latest album, I actually wrote, I think, 6, maybe even 7 songs, and I'm performing on 6 of them. So when the one day I wrote to them and I said, look, guys, why don't we get this out on the road? You know, I live in Scandinavia. You two guys, the 2 guitarists, are in Sweden. I'm in Denmark. It's not that far away. And the bass player, Johnny, he's in England, but he is Swedish, obviously. And he knew a drummer that we could use live, his good friend John. So we got John Rudin on drums, Johnny Peterson on bass, myself on vocals, Anders Biazzi on guitars, and Gustav Midin on guitars as well. And after the first time we met and rehearsed, there was a definite bond. You could feel the dynamic between us. It's worked really well, and we always have fun, and we always have a laugh when we're out, when we meet up. And the band itself, Just Before Dawn, is it's war metal. It's sort of in the vein of Bolt Thrower, Hail of Bullets type thing. And we're enjoying what we're doing, and we've already got the next album planned. And what we're going to do, we're trying to make it a concept album, but we want to see how all the songs flow first. I can't really go into it. I don't want to give anything away yet. But it's going to be good, and so a lot of work ahead. But I'm used to that.
And what else? Anything else you got going on that you want to tell us about, Dave? Or is it all secrets?
Oh, no secrets. I remember I said about the song "Darkness of Glass," the one that sounded like Celtic Frost.
Yes.
With the one with Down Among the Dead Men on the new album. Well, right. After we'd done that, I wanted to do a full Celtic Frost tribute, not covers, But although we did start out to do a lot of covers with this, but I thought, no, let's cut the covers down to a couple, and we'll write our own material. Now, this band's called Hell, Frost and Fire. It's still a work in progress. We're still trying to get it finished. The other guys have got other projects to do, so, you know, it's when they can find the time. I've been doing Just Before Dawn, these live shows, so I think it's about time I wrote to them and sort of chased it up. How's everyone doing? So find out about that, and then, yeah, maybe release some information about it. And then the other project is Troikadon, which is the triple-fronted band, myself, Carl Willits, and Cam Lee. And it's filled out with Johnny Peterson on bass, Roger Johansson on guitar, and Travis Ruvo from Echelon and Cropsy Maniac on drums. Now, for that, the drums, the guitars, and the bass, it's all recorded. And right now, Cam is doing his parts, is writing and recording all that. And then when he's done, it'll be handed over to me, and I'll be writing and recording my parts. I'm also, because Carl is with Memoriam, he's very busy, and they're touring there. They have a lot of festival shows right now. So I've said to Carl, do you want me to write your parts for you? And he agreed. So I said, you know, I'll do that. Anything you want to change, move it around, whatever, you go for it. So I've got that to do next. That's my next big thing. And then we're going to look for a record label to home us. So we'll find out about that in the future. But we're going to try for larger labels. This sort of thing is going to be pretty popular, I think.
I think so.
We'll see what we get.
Because you have, you know, three very prominent members of throughout death metal history all singing in the band. So it's different, and it's interesting for, you know, fans of the genre or of each one of you individually, because there is so much history behind all of you. So it's kind of like a crazy super group of singers. Yeah,
this is the one time where I don't mind the term supergroup,
because it is.
Because I'm not stroking my own ego here.
No.
I'm just saying. So I'm saying the facts, just the facts, man. But I know that Kunal from Transcending Obscurity, he'll call Down Among the Dead Men a supergroup, and I'll say to him, stop calling us that. Yeah. You know, it's just because it's me and Roger. Roger's in every band ever, and I've done a few bands. You know, so I can't really say it's a supergroup. But anyway, but yeah, for Troikadon, that label can be used, and I'm happy with that.
It is, because all three of you are known worldwide, you know. I mean, not that Roger's not known all over the world, but, you know, like people like Cam, of course, everybody here knows him. Most of the world knows him as well. And the same with both you and Carl, because we're all brought up with Bolt Thrower and Benediction and all that kind of stuff that are, you know, so it's very exciting to hear this, and we're totally looking forward to that. And boy, it'd be cool if all three of you could come on the show when that shit comes out. We'll have a super group interview.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool, because I know the guys that have been on the show before.
Yeah, both of them, yep.
As well. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The logistics of that might not fit together easily, but it will work. It's the same as doing the album. It will work.
Right. It's nothing that you're not used to, right?
Yeah. Take a little longer to work out, but that's fine.
So anything else you got going on, or is that it?
There's a few smaller projects. A band called War Cult from Mexico have asked me to do a song, and it's actually been about 2 months, maybe even longer than that, and I haven't been able to get it done. And every time I've thought, right, I'll get this done today, I've suddenly woken up with a bad throat. So, and I don't want to give a less than excellent performance.
Right.
You know. So I thought, no, I'll leave it. And the guys are. They're still working on the album, so there's no huge rush, but I've got that coming up. There's a friend of mine whose name is also Dave Ingram. He's Dave Ingram Jr. People mistake him for my son. They keep saying, oh, he's your son. He's like, no, he's not. But yeah, he's invited me to work with him on a project. Just the one song, just a few lines on a song. And I've got some more Just Before Dawn stuff to write. I've already begun writing lyrics for the next album, and there's one more song that we're going to be putting out on a special release.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we've got that to do, and also more Just Before Dawn gigs coming up, as well as my own radio show, podcast, Metal Breakfast Radio.
All right, so you're staying out of trouble, sort of.
Yeah, as best I can at someone who's nearly 50.
So Dave, would people want to know more about, what's going on with all these bands? I mean, is Facebook the best place to go? Is there other sites or anything?
Yeah, I would say Facebook is the best. The other sites that I have are basically just a jump-off point that will link to the Facebook pages. And if Facebook ever becomes as unpopular as MySpace became, then it'll move to the next best social media site, whatever comes next after Facebook, if anything ever does. But the one thing on Facebook I saw, because we played in Holland a few weeks ago, just before dawn, and I've been having some trouble with my left hip. It sort of makes, when you crack your knuckles, well, every time I walk, I get that knuckle crack sound in my hip. And it can actually be quite painful. So while I was on stage doing the show, I was sort of limping around every now and again and holding onto my hip. And I sort of laughingly said, "Oh yeah, I'm awaiting a hip replacement operation." And the guy who reviewed it has put it actually in the interview. It's like, look, I'm 49. Give me a break. It's like, if I'd have fallen over and broken something, then you could have, it was a joke, dude.
That's great. He's all falling apart, crippled old man up there.
Yeah.
Got to be careful what you do in the public eye, Dave.
I know.
So there you guys go. Down Among the Dead Men have a new album out on Transcending Obscurity Records. Next month, by the time this airs, it will be next month at least. And now you could all check out Dave's and all his bands on the Facebook. And then there's links on the different band pages and where you could pick up merch and check out shows and that kind of stuff. And Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show, telling us what's going on with you. And we look forward to catching up with you again in like 4 more months.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me again. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.